All right, I got the legend here in the Bay Area. I mean, if you want to know the salsa history, the dance, the music, the Latin music history in the Bay Area, it would be Tony O and his brother Oscar O, really. Tony Aureliana, welcome. Welcome, brother. How you
Thank you,
doing?
Ronnie. Thank you for the good, good. Thanks for the invitation. Looking forward to spend some good time with the Zoom chat and YouTube
Are
on
you
it,
in your office?
talking about the Bay Area.
Are you in your office?
Yeah, actually, this is my little studio.
Love it.
This is the room where I walk in and gives me motivation every time because I say, hey, you know what? Wow, that show I remember 10 years ago, 20 years ago. Different actually event flyers that I either promoted, produced, or been part of and stuff like that too. Motivation.
I mean, going back from old school, bro. I mean, I've heard of your name already, like a DJ Tony O. Who the fuck is that? It's like I've always like DJ Mo or DJ Tony O. Those are the two names that I used to know when I was
They
just
kept bringing,
beginning
huh?
salsa. Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Um,
I will say over 25 years in the Bay Area. Like any other DJ, started doing the mobile parties. From there, I had a chance to jump into a club when I was 17 on a 21-year-old club. And I have always had love music. Music is my DNA, and once you have it, you do anything to keep it alive and stuff like that too.
although one of the things that I haven't, I mean, respect to all the DJs in the Bay and they're badasses, like, but you're unique in a certain way. You and Oscar, actually, uh, the transition of music that you guys play is exceptional. It's something else. It's like the transition is just smooth. You don't know you're dancing here, and if the transition is not good, you look at the DJ like this, right?
You're like, what broke down there? Because everything sounded like it just came out of the shelf.
Right, right.
Well,
See that?
it's pretty much what is called an open format DJ. DJs, we're pretty much a quarterback. And some people see us as quarterbacks, and some people see us like, that's just the guy there in the corner playing the music, but not really, because you know it. You said it. If your mix doesn't sound on point, people are just gonna be like, "What the hell?" And there's
They get out of sync, dude.
yeah, and there's people that go out to the club that like the mix, and there's people that want to hear the whole song. And we've been on this business for a long time. That dancers want to hear the whole 4 minutes of the song. There's people at the clubs, that want to
Yeah.
hear maybe 2.5 minute. Okay, next song, because they either want to change couples, or they want to just hear different music in that
Yeah.
hour frame or whatever you have it. Some of that
Well,
too.
your music has always been good. The selection of music always been good, and you're one of the very, if not the DJ in the old days that played bachata. There was no one else.
No, and I'm thank you so much for saying that, because I've been around for a while. Hey, people say you're a great DJ. You know what? I always wanted to be in the middle wise,
Yeah.
because when you go high, you go down faster. I'm
Right.
I'm one of
Right.
those guys that, hey, I go with the flow. If it's bachata era, I will do bachata era. Yeah, I play
Yeah.
bachata, merengue. You see, I mix it all up.
Yeah.
But it's pretty much how you maintain yourself. It's not how fast you got to the top, is how you stay there. How humble is the first thing, and being able to work with everybody's the key
How do
thing
you
to
keep
it.
up the crowd, though? I mean, as a DJ, how do you keep up the crowd? How do you continue the flow with the crowd?
Well, as a DJ, you pretty much go into a room and you see what they're dancing, correct? You
Yeah.
can't DJ for yourself. You
Right.
can't be that DJ that's gonna be just looking at that computer and not look up and see how's happening up there.
Right.
There's different clubs. If we're gonna talk, for example, I'll say bachata. Now, bachata has different type of bachatas.
Yeah.
When people say bachata, there's of course commercial bachata, there's Dominican bachata, there's sensual. When I started, it was just bachata. Juanis Guerra's bachata
Correct.
was, or whatever.
Correct. Yeah.
And as the years process, people made it different, sensual, all that. But what I'm trying to say is that whatever gig you go to, whatever place you go to, as a good DJ, you have to go there and see the weekend before or 3 days, whatever, just to see what the house DJ is playing, because you don't want to go in there just because I'm Tony. I know everything I'm going to play. No, because there's not a perfect DJ, but there's a DJ that observes and checks it out, and that's what makes it a good. And you get invited to different,
Yeah.
places to go because of that and stuff like that too.
Yeah. You know, you asked me a question, I think, a few years ago, why I don't hire you as a DJ at my festival. That was an eye-opening type of question, Tony, because I did not at the Congress, but it did cross my mind to hire you at my gigs, and the very thing was on my mind is I couldn't afford you. It's like this guy has been DJing for
I
a
was
long
gonna tell you
time,
that.
huh? It's
No,
like
I was gonna say that,
this guy has been DJing for a long
and I
time. I don't
remember,
know if it's
Ronnie, I don't know if you
expensive.
remember, but I sat with you at the hotel right before you started all your congresses. I remember how, I got you a few artists, and we talked about it and stuff like that.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
I
yeah.
think a lot of promoters, and I'll be honest with you, I think throughout the year, because they say, damn, and I even see it now, damn, I can't hire Tony O because he's going to be expensive. One thing, why will he want to come to my place when he has big festivals or
All of
different?
this. Why would he want to come to my place? He has all of this artists.
But that's where I think my name has pretty much been bouncing, all over, because I work with whoever it is. You know what? I might be working with the next big Bill Graham, and you never know.
Yeah.
I might be at a club that maybe has 10, 50 people, but and you've seen it. I worked at places where there was nobody, and we make it, to the point that, hey, I want to take it like this is my event. I'm going to help that promoter, because that's one thing that you don't see too much nowadays.
I noticed that you did I noticed that there are two clubs that you've helped over the years and had become an icon, really. If you think about it, Caribbean Gardens is one on
Definitely.
Sunday night, okay? And then you have the San Jose one that changed the name. What's the name on Wednesday?
That is now out of, before used to be the old Agenda where everybody used to go there. And I know, when people see this video, they're going to probably say, oh, wow, but we had like the Alta Vistas, we had like, of course, Rocopulcos, I used to do some gigs at Kokomo before the whole salsa really flat. Remember, salsa's been around for a long
Did
time.
Diana ever hire you at Glass Cat?
I used to do Glass Cat. And the thing was that before I was gigging 6 days a week. And,
Yeah.
the first thing that I was, as you're young, you're like, you know what? Yeah, they're hiring me. If I don't go work with, for example, with Ronnie this weekend, maybe Ronnie is going to say, you know what? Nah, screw Tony. I'm not going to hire him over, because every time I call him, he's never available. So I used to make out of my way to go to those places and stuff like that. It didn't matter what kind of gig it was. But, I think when you have an art, you got to kind of like put it out there and stuff like that. And DJ is an art. It's like the same as dancers. I see, if you have it, go for it. Don't be lazy, because my dad always tells me, work until you're pretty much ready to retire, because the more you work, the better lifestyle you live and stuff like that too. And I think now we're experiencing this, because I'll tell you that I know we're going to jump into a whole bunch of things throughout this conversation, but I think a lot of people who are at home now, and you haven't even asked me that question, we're looking for ways how to survive, because entertainment business is a flat line. Now, if you think ahead, we're changing the way things are rolling now. We're doing different stuff that we were not doing, and that's the key thing to success now.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think that when this pandemic is over, meaning we have the vaccine and all of that stuff, I think that it'll never be the same. And I think that producers such as you and organizers for festivals and even club gigs, I think it'll be a little different. I hope it is different. I hope it's not the same, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I hope that it's a different for a good cause for all the attendees and for all the producers and all. I meant to ask you this because, yes, you had this career as a DJ. We know that. And then became club manager and what. But most people now know you as more of like a producer, co-producer of concerts, hosting big concerts at clubs, whether it's at Civic Center, whether it's in San Jose. You're involved with it. You even go to Las Vegas for Emmy. Is it Emmys or Grammy?
No, I work. I don't work directly, but I'm an independent contractor for Live Nation, AEG, Bill Graham, and all that. I started this company a few years ago because and I'm going to go away from the question that you asked me. We'll go back to it. When you're in the music scene, don't get stuck just on one thing. Do different stuff, because if my DJ stuff was not doing good, you know what? I can go into my marketing stuff. I can do my producing stuff. You got to be, you have to have green lights to do different stuff in that way. yeah, things are going to be different. You know, we don't know. You know, people ask me, hey, Tony, when do you think those concerts are going to happen, the festivals? Right now, I think the whole world is divided in 50-50. And I'll tell you why.
Yeah.
There's people that are really being cautious, and there's people that say, you know what, I'm ready to go out. And you're seeing it. You're seeing it online, people, you know, at the parks, you know,
Yeah.
people dancing in little places. Some people are wearing masks, some people are not. Yeah, you know, I think we're wearing masks because we want to be protected. We don't want to spread this thing longer until there's a something to cure it wise. So which shows I think that they are going to be back. Yeah, they're going to be different, and we're going to be thinking differently now. But going back to the question itself, I don't know. It just depends on the crowd that you cater for. And I was talking to a big known promoter from New York, and he said, Tony, what do you think? I said, well, look, if I'm catering to respect, you know, to the crowd of 50 plus, they're not going to go out because they're really being cautious. But if I start promoting, you know, for example, to the younger crowd, we were young. We were like, you know, rebels without a cause. We used to go, even though our parents used to say, please don't go on that street. We were going through that street. So that's the way I think things are going to happen. You know, there's going to be people that are going to be against it. And there's people are going to say, you know what? I've been at home for over 6 months, and it's happening now. I'm seeing more clubs doing outdoor stuff when they're telling you, no, if it's a restaurant bar, do not even dance. But there's people that, you know, it's like anything else. They're going to go out of the way to have a good time instead of that too.
What's the future of Rocopulco right now? What's the situation?
You know what? Rocopulco, as you know, I used to own it. Now I'm a general manager. It's a place that, you know, that we've been trying to cater for everybody. You know, there's not a perfect club. And I tell everybody who's going to listen to this video, you can never have a perfect club, you know. But with Rocopulco, we had, in my calendar right now, we have over 50 events. 2020 was going to be one of our best years. As you know, we've been climbing it little by little, you know.
Right.
Now with the new owners, I don't have a restriction of what kind of event I was bringing in. So that has helped us out to grow a little bit more. You know, you're seeing it here. So we had pretty much 10 of the best bachata artists coming in, salseros, you know, we had Grupo Nietzsche, we had tons of people. Now, we're gonna pretty much wait to see what the city tells us, because now it's the city governors and the governor that's controlling what we can do, what we cannot do. Now, a venue the size of Rocopulco or any venue that has big numbers, nowadays you don't know how many people they're going to give you the restrictions to and what can you do. So that's going to be a big plus of things that we have to check on our list before we do any events and we go back. And you know it, you've done festivals. If the hotel tells you, hey, Ronnie, you can only get 100 people comparing to 1,000, you'll be like, I'm not even going to do it. So there's going to be ways. There's always ways. Remember, there's always solutions to things. So that's one thing that we're going to see how we're going to do that.
Yeah. With all of the events you hosted, give me your top 5 favorite concerts and why.
You know, one of them, I'm going to start with El Torito. And I know a lot of
this guy always bring crowd, don't they? I mean, you've been bringing him for years, bro.
He does every year. You know, we were actually bringing him twice a year because there's a demand. Like I said, Bay Area, and we're talking about Bay Area, we're divided in half. There's the bachata,
the dancers.
Dancer,
yeah.
And there's the ones that just, you know, I want to go out and party wise.
Right.
So.
Right.
With that said, bachata with El Torito has been one of our best, and I'll tell you, because when you have an artist that gets off the stage, goes on the balcony and sings to the people, you know, you feel that you feel the artist more than anything else, and the crowd loves it was in every which way you can think about. My second one will be Gran Combo and Grupo Nietzsche together. Dude, when would
wait? Did you have them in one event and on the same time stage?
The same stage on the same nights.
Jesus, when did that happen, dude?
That happened back in May, and actually, I don't know if I can say the names of the promoters, but you know, they were brought by JC and Bosco. They did it. It was a Memorial Day weekend. I remember that, and everybody was like, "Wow!" You know, you got to say "wow" because how you get 2 of the big, you know, salsa artists in one little place.
How many people showed up? You think?
Man, I would say over 1,000. 1,001.
I bet, man.
So it was a hit. You know, I personally also like Gente de Zona because it was one of my shows personally by myself without any partners. And I'll tell you why. Because why did I like it? Because it was a challenge. It was a challenge because it was Sunday. Cuban music, it was not popular the way it was at one point. And, you know, they're kind of Cubano, Urbano,
Yeah, well,
but it was,
they're a little cliquish. That's why if you're not connected with them, either they attend your concert or they don't.
yeah. So it was just one song that was at the time that it was called, you know, La Gozadera. So we, you know, I said, you know what? I'm already on this horse. Let me ride the horse the whole way. And, you know, it was an investment that was a really high investment because, you know, the thing that people don't understand sometimes is that when you do an event at a club, man, people say, why is the ticket price is so high? No, it's not because we want to get rich out of the show. And this is something that I want to clarify because people think that sometimes, oh, you know what? The promoter's trying to make money. He's trying to get rich of that. No, no, no. Whatever hotel, whatever club or whatever venue you do, trust me, man, there's insurance. There's the transportation for the artist. There's the hotel. There's the show, you know, that you have to pay.
You haven't even mentioned the rider yet. Ladies and gentlemen, when we're talking about the rider, it's the personal preference of the artist on what he likes, whether what he wants to drink, what type of sound system he likes, all this kinds of shit.
All that stuff. And, you know, don't get me wrong. They want to sound perfect for the crowd because it takes one little mic to sound bad. And I understand that. But the thing is that when you go back and look at the videos at other venues or at the beach, when you're like, man, I remember hiring Prince Royce and he's asking me for in-ears. But then he goes, you know, performing at Punta Cana with the regular mic and you're asking me for this. You're like, wow.
Yeah, yeah, I agree.
So, you know, that's the thing that you're like, man, you know, it makes sense when it has to make sense. That was what, my fourth show, or do we have more shows? I got one more to go.
Yeah, one more.
One more show. Let me see. Oh, you know, we had Maluma.
Wow.
Maluma, you know, Maluma, you know, it's funny because a lot of the artists that are stardom now, for example, like Maluma, Ozuna, and of course, we're talking about reggaeton right now, but those guys have gone stardom. You know, those are arena guys. But when you go back and say, man, I had that guy at Rocopulco, you look back and say, damn, I must be doing something wrong because we did something where right before they were stardom, now they're, you know, they're performing at the venue. So I think that was like a big plus. You know, like I said, I walk in here, too bad you can't see everything, but I walk in here and I'm like, damn, you know, I remember that show. Damn, I got to do another show.
You know who you had that I remember that probably will never be at that type of magnitude at Rocopulco is Prince Royce. You remember Prince Royce going to your club, bro, where he wasn't popular yet?
No, he wasn't. You know, I remember he was doing Stand By Me, and the manager goes, dude, that's going to be the next big hit in Bachata. You'll listen to me. I say, hey, let's do it. Let's brag it. He goes, he gets off the hotel, and he has already about 100 girls just following him already on top. But, you know, if we go back to that stuff, I have to say it, not because I have you, and thank you for, but I remember, look, we used to do the pre-Bachata parties in there. And
we used to do the Congress pre-party there, which was good. And then we used to have a gig there on Thursday, I believe, and it was Bachata. It had good potential, except your club was too big for it. And Bachata was not big yet.
It was like kind of, you know, to me, like I said, Ronnie, I go into different clubs and sometimes I do consulting. I can go into any other club now and say, you know what, you should do this, you should do that, because I've seen it, I've been in. But I think one of the good things is that it doesn't matter how big the venue is, how small the venue is the vibe that you give the venue, is how you feel. You know, it's like it makes you want to come back for more, and that's what a lot of venues sometimes miss out of it. You know, you start fading away from it.
I mean, if I were to host a bachata again, I host a bachata at a studio now before, and most people do it in dance studios now. And some clubs, the only thing lacking that could never be compared to Rocopulco is the sound system. Dude, when you're dancing bachata, salsa is different. Okay, I give you that. It's gonna be a little different. Okay, when you're dancing bachata, you need to feel that good sound and bass, and Rocopulco has that with that $1 million sound system you guys have. You know.
No, you do. That's the key thing. You know, that's what I'm saying. You can't have a Ferrari if you have the cheapest tire, or you know. I know it's a comparison is not the same, but you kind of, you know, the music you have to feel, because there's a lot of new people that are getting into the dance stuff. And I tell people, hey, close your eyes and let the music control you. You know, as dancers tell you, hey, 1, 2, 3, whatever. But I'm saying, you said a key point. If you don't have the quality audio or the lighting, it's like just a regular party. And I understand, you know, dance places do that. Of course, many reasons, because, you know, maybe budget reasons and stuff like that. But sometimes you want to give, you want to give that extra because you want to make sure those people say, damn, you know what? I went to that guy's party. It was cool. The lights had videos, everything of it and stuff like that too. So it's a choice. It's a choice of everybody of what they want to do.
One of the things that the Bay Area don't know nowadays, and I'll give you a lot of credit for this. For salsa, when it comes to our dance community, Rocopulco, you and Oscar really contributed a lot to our quote unquote dancers, okay? Now, the powers that be know this, but dancers don't know how much you have helped the Bay Area dancers for this. For example, the dance team competition. I know you guys weren't making money for that.
No, not at all.
No, I know you, I was one of the judges too, by the way, but I know you weren't making money for that, but you wanted that continuity every year that you were doing it. And I believe the only reason you stopped it, correct me if I'm wrong, is because there were no participation of competitors anymore.
We did it for 10 years, and thank you for bringing that up, because before Congresses, I think we started with the whole dance troupe competition.
Yeah.
And our idea came from, hey, back then we had Ava as one of our instructors, and I approached her and said, hey, but you know what? I always like to have, a group, people around me, friends, whatever it is. I said, I want to get all the dancers that teach to start performing with their troops, give them the idea to do a competition. We did the amateur and the professional level. And as you know, you were one of the judges a few years, and we did it mainly to keep the community, to actually introduce the community to the dance in a way. And we did it because, look, I have seen dancers throughout my 25 plus years in the club scene. I never said I'm gonna be a dancer, because that was not my thing, but I've seen different dancers, and I've seen dancers who are now super professional when they were just pretty much dancing in front of me. And that was one of the things that I say, hey, you know what, if we do a dance troupe competition, we're going to have a big family-wise. And we did it. It was fun. And like you said, on our 10th year, I told Oscar, I said, you know what, Oscar, it takes a lot of work. I go, are we making money? No, but the pleasure of seeing the people come in with their families and blah, blah, blah is good. But then that's when the whole, and I hate to say this, all this Bay Area dancers started like, no. And you know what? I don't like the drama, and I don't want to be in drama. Let's just pretty much end it in a good term so people could talk about it throughout their years. And look, 15 years later, we're still talking about it right now, because it was just like a paved way to do all this stuff that's happening right now with the dance community itself.
Yeah, I think that if you were to bring that again, it would be a little different, because now not only salsa is popular, now you got bachata, right? And then there are just about teams in the Bay Area. This includes Reno, Sacramento, and all the way down to Fresno, really, if you think about it. God, I hope that happens again. It's just a matter of dance directors getting together for a good cause, and that is to inspire dancers in the whole North California thing, If that's the vision, I think it would work. Okay, the vision is not to make money. There's no one's gonna make money for this shit. No, not at all.
Yeah.
But
no, hold on. Let me take that back. Yeah. So we started doing it pretty much close to when the Congress started. We started doing it close to the Congress, because dancers were looking to get their last minute routines and all that stuff for the show. Yeah. And I said, hey, you know what? Besides the trophy, let's make some cash, because, hey, everybody's going to need cash for the uniforms or whatever.
Absolutely.
And that's where we started doing that, hey, $1,000, blah, 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 because that motivated the dancers to say, you know what, it's hard to do fundraisers now, back then. If we win, we got that extra, $1,000 or $500, just at least to either take everybody out to dinner or buy the shirts or whatever. So that's one of the reasons that we kind of moved dates and started doing it close to that time, so it could work in that time to it, and so like that too. But Ronnie, going back to that, I've been for the past 3 years. Don't get me wrong, I've been wanting to start it again, and because I don't have the right floor, and I'll be honest, Ronnie, that's one of the reasons. Until I get the proper floor for the dancers to come in, I'll do it.
Isn't it so funny how nitpicky dancers are. They're like, no, we don't want that. Whatever that is, like in the middle of the floor. It's like, come on, guys.
And don't get me wrong. Like I said, there's no perfect place, but that's the thing. And to respect to all the dancers, I see them dancing on concrete, on wooden floors when they're doing that. And I understand those shoes are expensive. I don't expect for them to wear dance shoes to go. But look, I see Santa Cruz people dancing on the boardwalk. I see people dancing on concrete, and it is what it is.
Tony, if you were to do it again, don't do it in the dance floor. Do it on stage. Put the dance floor on stage. I think it'll kick ass, in my opinion. But we'll see what happens.
Get ready. I'm gonna call you.
Yeah. That was in itself an inspiration to the Bay Area dancers, whether they were beginners or they were advanced. Again, it's something how for me as a dancer before dancing. The reason I wanted to dance is because I got inspired. It's all about inspiration. And that team right there, you see great dancer, you get inspired. I still remember the competition Rocopulco by Telemundo, okay? That's one of the things that inspired me to even, not just a social dancing thing. I wanna learn more. I wanna learn more salsa. I wanna really be good at it. Another thing that I credit Rocopulco for, besides that Telemundo, is the every Wednesday class with Alex De Silva every second week, and Gary and Isabel when Alex De Silva is not there. That was the first dancers or church for dancers on Wednesday, on weekdays. Because, okay, given that you have Friday, you have Saturday, but that's a different crowd, okay?
Definitely.
Wednesday were the thing, man. I mean, me and Eugene, if you remember the Korean dude, we started learning how to dance there, dude. I mean, we would just look at Alex De Silva doing all of this shit, like, dude, what really happened with that, by the way? How come that stopped?
Well, Wednesday, the thing is that when you start a club or anything, there's going to be people that are going to want to do the same thing.
Right.
And that's one thing that kind of kills the vibe for a place, for example, Rocopulco. You said earlier, we're such a big place. We were charging, I remember, $7, okay,
yeah,
to take classes with a dancer that was really well known in that area.
You were flying Alex every week from LA.
I was flying, yeah, and like I said, it was meant to keep the community dancing on Wednesday nights. But one of the reasons that I think it didn't really work was because that's when everybody became a promoter. I think that's back then when it was, what was that channel where, it was kind of like a promoting channel like Facebook. But, once you give people platforms to social media, everybody becomes a promoter. Everybody wants to put a party together.
Well, our first social media was in San Jose. No, it wasn't. Huh?
Salsa Gang?
No. So that came second. There was a first one, bro, in Mountain View. What's his name? That club?
Alberto? Huh? Alberto's.
Yeah, Alberto's had a forum online. You remember that? Yes. And then they could discontinue it. That's when Salsa Gang came, and that's where all the.
And I wish you could have kept it. I don't know what happened, but that was where local Bay Area people and people in LA and all around, we used to go in there and chat. It was like, you guys had the idea, but you guys didn't put it big, and you guys could have been, a Facebook.
The problem with that is we were only focused on one thing. Had it that our focus was a mass thing, it could have been Facebook, to be honest, or MySpace. It could have been Facebook or MySpace, but we had a limited vision in that one. But everything evolves, as you know.
But I bet you go back now and say, man, we actually had the game plan right in front of us.
We really did. All the time I think of that shit, man. I mean, look at Mark Zuckerberg. Mark Zuckerberg, that was not his idea. He stole it from his partners, as you know.
Yeah. But he's cashing in, so that's what he matters now, huh?
It's funny that going back to El Torito, I was going to ask you, what type of crowd does show up with El Torito?
Well, El Torito is really popular with Central Americans. And so he brings a lot of Central America, and the Mexican market is a really big sponsor, meaning sponsors that they'll buy you the tickets. So as a promoter, you look at that because those tickets ain't cheap. Those tickets start at $50 because the expenses that are involved. Yeah, having it at a hotel will be the ideal thing, and you know it. But you know, hotels nowadays, they're asking you for an arm and a leg for the rental. They're asking you for insurance because when you do start artists like El Torito, it's gonna bring you different type of crowds. And as a promoter, you cannot lock yourself from just saying, you know what, I'm just gonna bring the bachata dancers because I hate to say this, they're not gonna support it that much because of pricing.
Yeah.
But hopefully, the people that see this video and understand where when Ronnie, for example, you put a festival together, there's a lot of expenses behind it. So it has to make sense for you before anything else. That's the same reason when we do shows, we want to make sure that it makes sense for us to pay. And then, like you mentioned, El Torito just brings a variety of crowds. So, some people are gonna like hanging out with that crowd, or some people are not gonna like hanging with that kind of crowd too.
What I've found in our dancers, and this is probably why I will never do a concert at my festival again. I would never feature a band, is because they don't pay attention to the band after 10 minutes, bro. They just be dancing. If I ever feature a band, it would be at the pre-party in a club. It will be Thursday night, pre-party in a club, because as a dancer myself, as a music person that I really, especially bachata, there's a certain vibe when it happens in a club, as opposed to going to the concert at the Civic Center Arena and all. I don't feel the same way as feeling it in the club. Whether it's Rocopulco, and at that point it was Cafe Kokomo, but those were the only two clubs that I like when it comes to having bands. Whether it's
the intimate that you have the band right in front of you and stuff like that too. That's a key thing too.
And the acoustic is different.
Yes,
the acoustic is different. You can't install that in the hotel.
No,
he just can't. What's the most expensive band you guys ever brought?
Whew. Just say that probably the show was about $65,000. $65,000. Imagine for
that a big name though. Like Mark, I know Marc Anthony costs more than that. He's like,
oh no, Marc Anthony now. Marc Anthony, and for people that don't know, and I know we're pretty much. Marc Anthony went to Alberto's. He was just sitting on the corner. I was DJing. He was like anything like that, kicking in the corner.
Yeah.
He was there because he wanted to start doing some salsa shows. But to going back to the question that you're asking me, like a $65,000 show. Pretty much all shows that you bring into Rocopulco are from 30,000 and up. So you figure don't, we would love to have a $10,000 show, and it, but once you add up the backline writers and all that stuff, that's never going to happen itself.
We put Joan Soriano at Rocopulco one time, and I remember you and Oscar were telling me, it's like, dude, who is that? It's like, that's Joan Soriano. It's like, dude, he's badass. It's like.
And I forgot to mention it.
The only problem with John Soriano now, he doesn't have a good manager, marketing manager, and all of that stuff, because John Soriano is as good as Anthony Santos or El Torito, a different type of music, and his voice is a different thing. It's just the marketing problem, the marketing manager problem, and so it's a matter of.
That's a big issue with a lot of artists, and I'll tell you that, because if they don't have the right manager, they don't go that far, because they don't know how to, like you said, they don't know how to manage. They don't know how to do the right things. They don't, remember, you have to make sure that any artist or any manager gets along real well with the person that's booking them, because you might be the person that's going to be booking them throughout the years. But if they do one bad, managed paperwork or whatever it is, you don't want to work with them no more, because you're like, it's a headache. You don't want a headache when you have a lot of big headaches behind to do it.
And me, sometimes I post what I feel on Facebook. I posted one time and tagged him. I told him, your manager's not doing you good. You should be really popular now, and you shouldn't be charging. I'm not even going to say his price. It is very low, and But he's a very loyal person too, by the way, and so that's the hard
And
part.
he is, like I said, hey, look, Ronnie, you have brought artists to your, that really great artists, really great artists. And to me, if I was an artist and somebody like you called me up that nobody knows, why wouldn't I go to the Congress? You got to think smart, because that Congress is going to open up eyes for 5 other people from around the world to bring me into their Congress. And that's where the manager doesn't see it.
There were only 2 people that made me money, to be honest with you. Toby Love, when I brought him to Reno.
Remember that.
Who else is the other one? Oh, Grupo Extra at Allegro. We had
I remember that.
Bro, we had 1,200 people at Allegro. We never
You know why I remember that? You know why I remember that?
Yeah.
I didn't have a chance to go inside, but I had a big show that weekend, and I had to go promote to all the parties.
Yes.
we had that, right? Hey, just because you produce shows, you know what? You got to go out there, because the best person to let people know about the show that you have is yourself going out there and letting people know.
That was hard to handle, dude. Handling 1,200 people where you don't have security? Are you fucking kidding me?
I bet. No, I bet. But hey, you know what? You did a good show. People talked about it. Everything ran smooth. And, I think today people are saying, man, I remember, that show itself,
What's your dream band that you'd like to bring at Rocopulco, bro? It doesn't matter if it's bachata or salsa, or even reggaeton for that matter.
Well, not that I want to, but we pretty much had a lot of shows already in there.
I know.
A lot of artists gone through there. Man, I would like to, not a club. I would like to put a big mega bachata salsa show out there. That's the next thing that I'm looking at. Last September, I put a show together for Live Nation. It took me 2 years. And, big companies like that, they're not going to just hear anybody just out of the street to come and sit down with them. I say, hey, look, this is what I have. The show actually, and I'm going to make it brief, did more money than one big show, American show, could have done, because there was a lot of drinkers. It was an all-day festival. It ran perfectly. Unfortunately, I got contract to do one every year, but because this Corona, in September, we couldn't do it until next year. But I would like to set up a big concert, where you have a Torito, where you have a Grupo Nietzsche, where you have a Hermano Rosario, where you have, Prince Royce, 10 artists, 10 big festivals, a big outdoor festival itself is what I'm looking at. But it's not easy. It's not easy. It's not
going to be easy.
No, it's not,
Whatever happened to, I know the whole story as far as, I always know that he doesn't always deliver, and there's a reason for it. But I should ask you that question. Whatever happened to El Mayembe? I thought you were going to bring him.
You know what? With him, man, and it's been like a roller coaster. And you know it. You talk to the manager. Hey, you know what? He doesn't like to fly. He fears flying.
You know this, yes.
Santo Domingo to New York, because that's a 2-hour flight. But across country, I said, okay, hey, if he doesn't like to fly, why don't we get a motor coach? We got a tour for every city. He doesn't have to fly. Pretty much like most artists do it sometimes.
Yeah.
So I think the pricing, and he was supposed to be at a big show in LA that everybody bought tickets to go on there. He didn't show up. It was I forgot what it was.
Same thing in Toronto with my friends. He didn't show up too.
So now, you're like, okay, I'm Ronnie. Why would I want to put my name behind an artist that I don't know if it's going to make it? So you said, you know what? Screw it. He lost, not us. And even though he probably, artists think just because they're hot on the radio, on TV, in some cities, you don't know what hits in San Francisco might not hit in New York. What's hitting in New York might not hit in San Francisco, because when you have somebody like him, you say, oh man, all the Dominicans are going to come out. Guess what? I've done Dominican shows. I only get like 10 or 15 Dominicans the most. So crowd support, you don't have it. So, that's.
You remember when I brought Luis Vargas?
Yes, at 15.
Bro, that guy is badass. I mean, yes. But no one showed up. Not too many people showed up. But he was badass. Everybody knows his concert's always good, but no one showed up.
Yeah, and like I said, that's the bad thing that we, as promoters, sometimes when we do shows, we wish we had the perfect formula, or Merville say, no, you're gonna you got to work for it. But then there's artists that even if you want to bring, they don't draw, and it's like people want to see them. It's like now, I have a radio station right now, but everybody has asked for a radio station. I have an online station, and so I'll send you some info just in case you don't know. But what I'm trying to tell you is that when you produce, when you do shows, when you put stuff for people, at the end of the day, they don't support. That's why everybody says, how come California don't have a bachata station or a salsa station? Because guess what? The station is there. They're going to change the dial because there was not listeners. And that's the problem. That's
Is that
why
what happened at La Calle?
La Calle, yes, because I used to work there too and stuff like that.
Yeah.
We went from pop station to like a top 40 Latino station.
They
Then
shouldn't have
we went to
changed it.
reggaeton.
They
Reggaeton
shouldn't
was
have
not working.
changed it.
Yeah, so they kept on changing it.
Yeah.
Because stations and TVs, remember that they make their money out of people buying commercials. So if the local people don't buy commercials, guess what? Hey, corporate are going to say, you know what? Change it to wherever people are going to buy commercial. And that's why we can ask, and we can scream, we can protest, but if you don't support it, it doesn't work wise at
Is
all.
there any radio stations in the Bay now that plays Latin? That
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
I'm not talking about cumbia, bro. I'm talking
no,
about
no, no, no. There's a station. I'm gonna plug it in. There's a station that this whole pandemic thing. I've been like in this room. Honestly, my wife tells me like, when the hell are you gonna get out? But I've been in here like saying, what can I do different now that I was not doing before? First of all, I think this pandemic is bad, but it's great. And why is it great? Because you got family members more together. Now you got more time. I'm enjoying my backyard that I never get to do that much. And cut me if I'm going too long because I know I don't know what time we have.
No, we good, bro. We good.
Okay. It's a round table talk, but what I'm trying to tell you is that now talking about the radio station, I came out with a radio station. I said, you know what, let me do an online radio. Why? Because you don't have to pay that much money, but then everybody all over the world can listen to it. Now, how you get that radio station all over the world, and there goes me, promoting, letting people know, hey, I got a radio called Es Tu Ritmo Radio where I play bachata, salsa, merengue, like if you were in New York and Miami, because I felt that there was no radio station that could, cater for that, and stuff like that. Even though there's Spotify and there's all those stations, but people kind of want to hear, for example, John Soriano, that they don't play it. They want to hear stuff that people don't play that much. And, working at a station prior, that it's pretty much monitored by upper management of, how much plays you can get for the artists that they really know. They're not going to play just anybody and stuff like that too.
By the way, didn't you bring Raulín also?
Raulín, yes, Raulín was there.
Rodriguez?
Yeah, Raulín Rodriguez.
I know the music of Raulín. I always play it when I DJ. Almost every one of his songs is very danceable. But how did that go?
With Raulín, we had about 800 people. Yeah.
That's actually not bad for bachata, traditional at least.
It's not bad, but when you're talking about Raulín, you're pretty much talking about a bachata icon. And
yes.
And I was like, maybe it was, like I said, maybe the time of the month, maybe people didn't have money, maybe people didn't want to go to the venue. We hear everything. But if I hear all those things, you might as well just retire. You gotta, want to do a show, do it, because at the end of the day, there are going to be people that are going to go out. But with Raulín, it was really great. I just think that the marketing, I didn't do that show. It was, it was a rental, but I think the marketing could have been better. Could have been where you do a special some price to get the people out first, because you got to get the people out.
Yeah, that's true. Well, you have you have Torito there already, and that sets the standard there. And when you can't meet it, that's a little hard to follow, because Torito is unique in a certain way, because, okay, you got the Debate T4 people, okay? You got Raulín, you got Luis Vargas, you got, who's the other guy? El Mayembe, okay? So you do those three. Anthony Santos, bro, as much as I hate to admit it, I think you probably have around 800 people.
Well, and that's, and you're right. You're right. And that's the reason that we say, look, we have Frank Reyes there. Frank Reyes is Frank Reyes.
Right. Okay? Yeah.
And when you start looking at the numbers, like, okay, 800, 900, no, like they're not going
to make money.
Something is not making sense. There's no money there. So why you even keep on pushing this shit? You know what I'm saying? Don't even do it, because, there's people that want to go dance, and there's, like you said earlier, there's people that come out with their phone and the concert starts, and guess what? They don't even dance. That's all they do is just hold that phone and record. Like, I should have just sold a DVD for $10, probably made money.
It's true.
But it's happening instead of that too.
Yeah, so that's the thing, because that's one of the reasons I invited, because I wanted to analyze the difference between El Torito crowd and even the icon artist crowd like Mayembe or Luis Vargas and all of this, even Joveras for that matter, they have a certain niche, but there's something else about Torito, that for some reason his music is very different, that it speaks to just about everyone in the Latin community.
Plus, and then like we call him, he's el bachatero del pueblo, meaning that it doesn't matter what city you're from, he's gonna hit you. He's gonna get that crowd from every single corner wise. Going back to the bachateros that you mentioned before, yeah, we know them. You know them because you play the music. I play the music. I know them because we do. But when it comes to like the crowd, if they don't know the name, man, you gotta sing the song or you gotta play the song. Oh, that's the guy. Oh, okay, perfect example. Look, I know a lot of instructors that use Rey Sepúlveda. They use the old school salseros for their classes. They don't know. They of course they know the name because they Spotify or whatever they do. But what I'm trying to tell you is that when you do those shows like that, they don't know who they are, but they know they dance the songs and some of that too.
And that's the problem with El Mayembe because he always compares himself to Romeo.
Yeah.
No, it's not going to happen, dude. And speaking of Romeo, what is his price range nowadays? You don't have to be specific. What do you think is his price range nowadays?
Well, from what I hear, he's about $1 million. Okay. plus percentage of the ticket sales.
Are you serious?
Oh yeah, that's the same thing with Marc Anthony. So a lot of artists, because they know they could do they're starting to do their own tours, and that's where that's where they make their money was.
And they're smart. They do their own marketing.
Yeah, those they're smart because they're not going to go, for example, say San Francisco, Reno, they're going to sell it to any promoter that wants to buy it. But the big markets, they'll do it themselves because they'll make triple the amount. But they're up there.
But that's the thing I don't like about this concert thing, bro, whether we're just doing Toby Love, for example, right? Every day he has to go to another city that's nearby. To me, that's a lot of lost money for me because the people in Sacramento doesn't have to go to the Bay Area to see him. They would go to Sacramento where he is also being, be featured or whatever.
Now, do you mean as a big concert or are you talking about like a club gig?
Club gig.
Yeah, with club gigs, I'll be honest with you. I'm against it when they're really close because if it's not 100 miles away, it affects you. We used to do shows where, okay, I booked this guy and then next day I'm like, damn, you're in San Jose. No, bro, you know what? Cancel that contract because that's not going to work.
I know. Remember Munchie and Alexandra? They were like in the same fucking Bay Area. It's like, what the hell?
Yeah, and that's another group that, man, they were great, but they never were able to bring the numbers. Because either, mad or whatever reason was. But I'm saying is like, it doesn't make sense to do a show, in San Jose, and then I do it the next day in San Francisco because that San Jose crowd is not going to come down. Now, concerts, they do work, and I'll tell you why, because we're talking about mega promotion. They got a budget that they can go to Gilroy. They go, all that area down there. Everybody from down there, from here to the Bay Area, they'll track, Sacramento, Contra Costa, East Bay, and all that stuff. So you got the crowd. But yeah, with booking yourself 3 days in the same platform, it doesn't make sense. That's why we try to throw, for example, San Francisco Friday, Saturday we'll throw you in LA, Sunday we'll throw you in San Diego, Vegas on Thursday because now we have space to really get our crowd that we want.
Are you involved in some shows in the Bay like the one in Red is that San Carlos or Redwood City?
Which
they do it outdoor.
Are you talking about the Shoreline Amphitheater?
Yeah.
Or which one?
Yeah.
Well, that's where I did the show in September.
Oh, you did the show in September? Are you involved San Jose Jazz Fest?
No. And I'll be honest with you. I've been a little busy with different projects. I used to do the San Francisco Jazz Festival here.
Right.
I used to do the Carnival. But then there's times that you cut yourself, you can't be everywhere and stuff like that too. And sometimes they have, it's like any they have their own people, maybe with less experience than what you have. And if it works for them, they're going to keep it like that. Sometimes it's like, they'll keep their own staff to do it. But, I still got radio stations that call me and say, hey, I need a band. I need, dancers. I try to pretty much work, like I said earlier, work with everybody. If you call me and, if it makes sense and I can get you a band, why not? do it wise, you know, instead of that. As long as I keep on, you know, keep on working.
The in the salsa scene, El Gran Combo, that's got to be a big production there, because not to mention flights and hotels, right?
Gran Combo right now is about $55,000. Okay, and not talking about a $5,000 rider. So you know, when you asked me earlier what kind of shows, that's pretty much around the range of those artists where you're looking at. You're looking close to like $65,000. Now, what you got to charge to make your $65,000, and how many people you have in the space to do it, and stuff like that too.
Yeah, it's wow.
It's a
Going
big.
back to huh?
You're better. Hey, you're better off going to Reno or Vegas and put that money in the machine. You might have better luck.
No, you're gonna lose. That's pretty much what happens, dude. I mean,
That's
I live
true.
in Reno, bro. I don't even go to a casino. I don't even go to those hotels, dude. Locals do not go to those hotels.
Yeah, that's a smart thing, because you know those casinos, those hotels were made out of people's money that go there.
Absolutely. Absolutely, dude. It's like, oh hell. Wasn't Rocopulco used to be Caesar's Palace? What was the transition like that? I mean, were you there already?
Well, you know, at Caesar, that he's a really personal good friend of mine and stuff like that. Caesar got Caesar's Latin Palace back in 1973. Okay, before that, it used to be a place called Cisco, and before
Oh,
that,
I didn't know that. Really?
yeah, Rocopulco actually was a bowling alley.
Yes. Yes.
Back in the 50s and the 60s and stuff
Right.
like that. So Caesar got that, and he ran it, I think, for about, I would say, about 20 years. Caesar's, for the people that don't know, used to be the Studio 54 of San Francisco, if you know what I mean.
Oh.
Where all the craziness and, you know, everything that you can imagine used to happen there and stuff like that too. So people used to look at that because, you know, you had like Celia Cruz, Hector Lavoe, you know, Eddie Palmieri, you know. If you've been to Acapulco, you see that the neon signs of those are the artists that used to be back there performing in the 70s and stuff like that and all.
No, I like the idea. I like the pictures at Rocopulco. That the legends, the pictures of the legends at Rocopulco really surrounded the club. It's a great idea.
Yeah,
Really
it's a lot of history in that spot.
Yeah.
I did, like I said, I was not working as much with Caesar, but you know, we used to hang out. And then, you know, it was bought, the name changed to Rocopulco by, you know, an owner that's the, you know, building owner. I worked for her as a manager. And then she said, hey, you know what? You're a hustler. I like you. I'll give you the option to buy the place from me. And you know what? It's like going from radio DJ to club DJ.
Yes. Yes.
You know, it's like if they're telling you, hey, take the business for this much, blah, blah, blah. You know, I told Oscar, I said, hey, man, it's like, I'm pretty sure there's things that you know, sky the limit. You look for, you know, to go up the step and up the step. I said, damn, owning a club from a regular club DJ that I've been. So I bought the place. You know, we ran it for 7 years. Why did we sell it? When, you know, because the economy went down. So, you know, when business don't make sense, and this is pretty much for any kind of business, you got to let it go. You can't be attached to it, because if it doesn't work, you're not going to make it work. And, the good thing was that, you know, when you have a good track record and you work good and you're a hustler and you're honest, you know, anybody that you work with, you know, I came to work with a total stranger who I'm working with right now. He said, do what you've been doing for the past years. Now you got my support. And that's where I've been at so far. And I think it's better now because I do a lot of stuff except sign the checks at the end of the year at the time. But you know what? I'm happy because when you have a business, there's a lot of trouble and a lot of stuff that follows it because everybody thinks that you have all that money.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know how it is.
So how are you dealing with pandemic besides doing this radio station that you do and whatnot? How do you keep up?
Well, you know, entertainment and pretty much a lot of people, even restaurants or, you know, what we do, we're flatlined. We're flatlined completely. As much stuff that we want to do, our incomes have changed. And, you know, we're not alone. There's nothing to be shy about. It's something that happened that nobody has control. What I've been doing, you know, I take advice from my dad, and he tells me a lot of stuff, you know, because every successful son, the dad must be like stronger, correct? So my dad told me, hey, always save money for rainy days. And that's something that I've been telling my DJ friends. I say, hey, you know what? If don't try to buy everything that's out there. Don't try to go crazy buying those bottle servers or go crazy buying liquor because you got to make sure you know how to save money too, because I'm not telling you save every money. Have, go take your trip, have a beer or whatever. But if something like this that's happening happens, you're prepared because at least you're covered. Yeah, money's going to run out, but then that's what makes us smarter to move ahead. What's plan B? What's plan B for Tonio? Yeah, I'm reaching out. I got a project starting this Saturday where I'm going to be doing stuff with chefs, DJ, and the wineries. So that that's going to start motivating more money into that. I don't know if you asked me personally what I was doing or Rocopulco, but with Rocopulco, there's really nothing you could do.
No, there's nothing you can do now.
We wish we could open the doors. We wish, but you know what? It works both ways, because if you open and you got people dancing, guess what? Social media, people are gonna write and say, "Oh, look at Rocopulco, no mask, everybody's touching hands, blah 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 blah." So we're waiting to the give us green light, then we'll move forward in that way. But I think that like I mentioned earlier, this has made us, and I hope a lot of people are smarter now, make smarter moves than just think that it's a regular kind of stuff in a way.
Yeah, well, we'll see what happens with this pandemic. I mean, it's been hard for the entertainment business, as you know, relying on unemployment, and even the stimulus doesn't do any shit. But the unemployment per se, hopefully they really extend that, and that would really help us. But other than that,
I heard they and I still haven't got it yet. So that's, no, I still haven't got it, and I'm pretty sure I'm not alone. But let's be realistic, and this is reality. There's people that don't have the right accommodations to ask for help.
That's true too.
So there's busboys, there's kitchen helpers, there's a lot of people out there.
I did work for Amazon temporarily for a while there, like 10 hours straight, bro.
But see, some people are saying, hey, the ones that are getting the check, they're like, you know what? By the time I get to work, I make more money getting that check than me being out there work.
True, but with the pandemic, that was warehouse positions were the only ones available during the pandemic lockdown, dude.
Yeah. So, yep. But you like, people got to do what they got to do to survive, and that's the thing. If you stay at home not trying to think how the money's gonna come in, you're not gonna survive.
But hopefully, when this pandemic is over, I hope Rocopulco features some dance gig, probably Wednesday or something, or even Tuesday for that matter. I don't know about Thursdays, to be honest with you. But you're right, bro. There's so many promoters nowadays. Whether they're bad venues or good, they still do it anyway, which ruins the whole thing.
And that's the nature of the business. Everybody's gonna want to be a promoter. Is who survives, but at the same time, it's like everybody wants to try something new. And if they do good one time, they'll be like, shoot, let me keep on doing it. The thing is that don't give up. Just because you lost 5 shows in a night or 5 days in, that you open, because then you already took a little bit of that crowd from that promoter that's working night and day, putting posts, sending emails, putting flyers, because, promoters are the ones that are going to do all that and stuff like that too. And, some have different formulas. But, I'm pretty sure when you do your festivals, you're working 24/7 just to get the word out there, either through social media, through friends. Myself, I'm out on the streets. It's like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm out on the cold. I'm not going to hire somebody because, you know what? I don't know if that person that I hire is going to be really sleeping or really putting the flyers wise. And, we see that all the times.
I know. It's very hard to trust these people. You have to do it yourself. I still remember you and I usually cross each other's path, passing out flyers everywhere, dude. I mean, we're passing flyers to just the most remotest place in the fucking Bay Area.
Well, and that's the thing, Ronnie, that, you have to go where you got your crowd, correct? But, and this is the reality. Sometimes your crowd that you want them to support you, they're not going to support you. So that's where you go and get the crowd from down the block.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much a free advice that you can never stay and go. El Gran Combo has a song says, no hay cama para tanta gente, meaning there's not too much beds for too many people in a way. And that's the thing that, in this case it's different. There is a lot of people, but you have to get them from different beds.
Yeah. Going back to your DJing, is DJ equipment matters?
Now technology has advanced so much. I don't know if you can see back there, but I still got my turntables right there. My 12-inch. There's a controller back there. But nowadays you can go from a little phone, okay, to that. Now it depends how you want people to see you. Instead of that, how DJs to other DJs will be like, look at Tony, he came in with a little ass control. And but if I can do what I can do in the little control with the big controller, is good. Now, personally myself, yeah, I like to get top of the notch stuff because you're entertaining. That computer freezes on you or the music stop. Guess what? People are gonna say that's a whack ass DJ because the music stopped. They
Yeah.
don't know what's behind it. So meaning it just depends the type of party you're gonna do. If you're gonna go and you're gonna travel, of course you're gonna travel light because you cannot take a big controller. But equipments have come a long way. Look, I got right now, I've been busy putting all this babies into MP3s, MP4s.
Good, good.
And before you used to have to carry crates and crates and crates. Now it's like I got to carry a USB and slap it on and
Yep.
about
Yeah,
it.
I mean, you got a lot of technology, dude. It's just
Yeah, so for us is great. It's great because all these new systems make it easier for you and stuff like that. And you get old. That bag gives up on you after a while too.
By the way, Tony, one of my favorite concerts you hosted in the Rocopulco. Look behind you. That guy right there?
Prince Royce right there?
Behind you. Not Prince Royce, Salsa.
Oscar de Leon? Victor Manuel?
No, Oscar de Leon.
Oh, right there.
That was one of my favorite at Rocopulco, bro.
Nice.
I mean, the guy, the way he commanded the stage, the way he commanded the crowd, and the crowd was really into it. We were into it when he was singing.
Well, he was on the list of the shows that I told you that we had a cancel move. So wait till 2021 because I tell you, it's going to be, I tell people nowadays you have to get like a what is it, layaway system now because there's going to be so many shows that you better stop putting $5 in.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do with my crowd too, because since I canceled all of I got like 6 festivals, right? Yeah, I canceled them all. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to figure out, well, the hotels are already in agreement. And so whether they like a refund or not, it's going to be an automatic transfer, if that makes sense, And so we're going to start doing that and plan for next year. I'm very cautious in planning next year, though, to be honest.
So Roddy, you're asking me I'm going to ask you the question. So with the 6 shows that you have you ever thought about doing them at other hotels or you think that those hotels are already set for what you're, and I'll tell you why, because like any other business, hotels are going to be looking for businesses and that's when you can get a better business deal.
Pretty much probably in the same hotel because they're situated in a certain way where, like, for example, the one in October is in Silicon Valley, okay? The one on New Year's Eve weekend is in San Diego,
Okay.
And then the one in November is in Hawaii, is in Honolulu, and that's probably the only festival I have that's the cheapest when it comes to expenses. Of course, you got San Francisco in July, which we're going to do it in downtown. Whenever we do it in downtown, Tony, we're going to do the pre-party at Rocopulco. You know that,
We're open.
We're setting that. So, and then, of course, Reno. And I do my party here on where we started in the first place at the Grand Sierra Hotel, which is the biggest hotel. And the thing is, I don't want to change hotel because whenever you change hotel, a new hotel,
it's like a new,
the trust is not there.
Definitely, yeah.
And but when you work with the same hotel, it becomes a partnership. And so,
No, that's good. That's a smart way to go into like that too,
Yeah.
Well, I know you're looking forward. You can't wait the same way I can't wait to, say we're ready to go and let's do the shows and stuff like that. But like
I've always wanted to ask you, is Caribbean Gardens still in business before the pandemic?
I left Caribbean Gardens last year. I'm still there. I'm actually supposed to be going
different management, right?
Well, I work with the owner, Miguel, that and so that.
I love them. I love them to death, dude. He was one of the nicest person I've ever met. I was there at the hospital before he died, bro.
Yeah. So to make the story short, it's like any other business. When you work with that person, you feel comfortable, and then somebody else comes in. There's different arrangements that don't work. or different things, or you lose interest. So the place is still open. They're surviving right now. Of course, they had to open the restaurant, as you know that they had a restaurant. They're doing actually music in the parking lot. But yeah, people are coming out, but then at the same time, like anything else, if you're not doing the correct thing, there's going to be people looking at social media saying, how come they're doing it when they're people supposed to be going at home? So it's like,
Yeah,
it's a good thing and it's a bad thing, wise.
totally understand it. Totally understand. But
as a business person, I'm sorry, you kind of have to see ways to survive because landlords, landlords are asking for the money. And I'm sorry to say this, but, businesses are closing, restaurants are closing, and everybody says, oh, my favorite restaurant closed after 30, 40 years. Well, guess what? They don't have the options to keep on working. And if they give them the option to keep on working, they only give them like 5, 6 tables. You can't survive. Nobody can survive.
But I just totally understand about the landlord and even your customer situation, refunds. I like my crowd is very flexible and very understandable that I haven't, not too many of them are asking for a refund. They say, just transfer my ticket for next year, which I appreciate because they know that when you cancel events like that, everything, you lose some money, man.
No, definitely. And this is, I read reports, and I know you probably attend some concerts, but Live Nation, they're 98% negative of every money and everything. And that's the biggest promoter in the world.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what I'm trying to tell you is that there's people that, of course, they want their money because they say, oh, you know what? I'm not, I don't know where I'm going to be at next year, or they might not do the show, but there's loyalty, like you say, that there's crowd that say, you know what, Ronnie, do it for next year because I know I'm going. I had a whole bunch of events that I was attending, conferences and stuff like that. And I said to myself, you know what? I didn't go this year, but roll it over for next year because I know I'm going to go next year. I already have the ticket parked. I don't have to worry about, making sure I have the money to buy the ticket because it's already bought and stuff like that too.
Well, DJ Tony O, thank you for your time, sir. I appreciate you. I appreciate what you've done in our scene as dancers. I started at Rocopulco dancing. That's where I learned. I give a lot of credit, Rocopulco, not to mention you host my pre-parties, and one of the memorable ones, I should say. And so hopefully we can do it again next year. Let's see what happens, right?
Definitely, Ronnie. Thank you so much for the invitation, and everybody that sees this YouTube interview. It was a pleasure to talk a little bit about myself.
Say hi to your brother Oscar, who's always straightforward.
Thank you. And we're looking forward. Hopefully, when all this is back, we got to get the Brugal because you know what's up with you and the Brugals.
Brugal, bro. So, anyways, you have a nice day, brother. I'll be posting this tomorrow.
Thank you, and stay safe. Take it easy, brother.
All right.